Is it possible accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein had secret storage lockers and units hiding incriminating evidence or possible blackmail material and authorities just never searched them? We are breaking down the emails and the financial records that may suggest the deceased financier was storing away all these materials and potentially even wiping digital materials too, which could, by the way, explain why the feds say they have no evidence to go after anybody else. But with these revelations, what could happen now? Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. I gotta say something as we're covering these stories. Staying on top of the news is so important, but with all of the media bias these days, who knows what to believe? So I want to introduce you right now to a great sponsor, Straight Arrow News. Straight Arrow News is a personalized news platform that gives readers fact-based journalism to inform and build trust. Their media mist tool, it shows readers headlines that are not seen on mainstream outlets and provides useful commentary that cuts through all of that sensational spin. Their site, their app, it also points at all this bias with a media landscape tool to group sources by political leaning for full transparency. So if you're ready for a better way to get the news, go to san.com/sidebar or just click the link in my description. This is Straight Arrow News. Skip the drama, get the facts. Welcome back to trustworthy journalism. Got another bizarre angle out of the Epstein files we got to talk about here. So we have this other episode coming out of whether or not Jeffrey Epstein had an incinerator on his New Mexico property to potentially destroy evidence. You can check that one out. But now there is an allegation based on reporting primarily by the Telegraph that the deceased financier and convicted sex offender hid evidence from U.S. authorities in storage lockers all around the country. Okay, and we're talking computers, photographs, including material namely from his little St. James Epstein Island. Now, if this is true, that would make sense, right, as to why the FBI has said in the files that they don't have evidence of photos or videos of other people abusing girls or women. So that would be a major revelation if true. And again, remember, when we talk about the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the DOJ just turned over everything in their possession. Maybe they didn't have in their possession what was in the storage lockers. If that's true, it becomes a question of why. But this, again, what we're about to go through is a major potential revelation if true. And the obvious question is, how do we maybe know this? And if it's true, can authorities go and find this stuff now? So the Telegraph reports that Epstein had paid detectives, maybe even private investigators, to take equipment out of his Palm Beach home to seemingly protect it from being found by investigators. And according to the Telegraph, he leased a unit, for example, from 2003, or apparently leased a unit from 2003, and you have these credit card documents showing he seemingly made repeated payments. And we'll go through that. But here's the part that's really frustrating. According to the outlet, apparently U.S. authorities never searched these storage lockers or units. I mean, one thing that's highlighted by the Telegraph is when you look at photos of Epstein's properties, there are what appear to be large storage areas and basements that are just apparently sitting empty. Why? Was stuff moved? Maybe more importantly, why the need for these apparent storage lockers if you had the space? If you had the room on the property, why would you need storage units? And I'll get into the conversation on storage in a minute, but if you think about what could be in there, if this is true, you couple this with the theory that Epstein had allegedly secret cameras and secret recordings too, right? Look at this email that was sent to Epstein in 2014. Quote, "Remember what we spoke about. If you want to put cameras in the house, it will have to be very discreetly done. The Russians may come in handy." And we know there were allegations that Jeffrey Epstein had ties to Russian officials, maybe the Russian government. How about this one? From Jeffrey Epstein to a member of his staff in 2014. "Let's get 3 motion-detected hidden cameras that record. Thanks." So again, where's all that footage? I want to talk about the storage as potential areas to investigate, to potentially find evidence. So one of the emails from the Epstein release that I want to highlight is from August 2009. Now, this is about a month after Jeffrey Epstein is released from jail in Florida. Remember, he had pled guilty to solicitation of prostitution, including solicitation of a minor, and those convictions. And it seems there was a request from Epstein accuser, the late Virginia Giuffre, regarding certain evidence. Okay, so this is an email that Epstein forwards to his attorney, Roy Black, and then his attorney, Martin Weinberg. And this email is from a William Riley, who we'll talk about a little bit more. I believe it's an investigator of some kind. So this is an email from William Riley with the subject Epstein, and it reads, "Bob, Over the weekend, I learned that plaintiff's counsel are looking to get from me the computers and paperwork I took from Jeff's house prior to the search warrant. I have them locked in storage and would like to know what to do with them. They are no longer needed in the criminal case, I assume. Is it possible to give you these items for your review and safekeeping, or give to Darren Indyke or back to Jeff, etc.? Indyke was Epstein's personal lawyer and at one point his co-executor of Epstein's estate. And then it goes on to say, I have attached my inventory and some of the photos of the items I have. Roy Black directed that the computer drives be cloned and he would have the results of that effort. The cloning was done by a forensic specialist, Dave Kleiman. Let me know ASAP, Bill Riley. Now, first of all, let me just say, is this going to be enough to warrant all these people being brought to Congress to testify? Maybe, but the key there, move computers and paperwork prior to the search warrant. I mean, an argument could be, was this material moved in anticipation of the criminal investigation? Was it hidden? The Telegraph explains what former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Reeder said when authorities searched Epstein's Florida property in connection with the initial Florida state charges that he faced. He said the place had been cleaned up, added how certain computer material appeared to be gone. Now, to give you a further idea of this, while Epstein was still serving his time for the Florida state charges, we have this May 2009 email from Epstein to this William Riley, and it says, you are going to send me a copy of Redacted's picture. Riley writes back, I thought I had a copy of it on my computer, but it is in storage with everything else. I will get it out next time I go to the storage unit. So again, seemingly confirming there is a storage unit with information connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Actually, when you think about what these people were doing for him, it is believed that perhaps William Riley was a private investigator, an investigator of some kind. And as the Telegraph notes, there are financial statements that indicate a payment trail to Riley Corrali Agency for thousands of dollars. Here's an invoice that was sent to Epstein's lawyers. Now, regarding the evidence of storage, and there are more emails in the files release regarding storage. Like, for example, I found this communication regarding Uncle Bob's storage. How about this one from Leslie Groff? We've mentioned her a lot of times here on Sidebar. This is Epstein's former assistant. Look at this email. Were extra storage keys made and given to Corinna and redacted? Please confirm. Now, Corinna, again, somebody we focused on here on Sidebar. Corinna seems to be Corinna Shuliak, Epstein's purported secret girlfriend, who he was apparently planning on leaving the mass of his fortune, $100 million, all of his properties. We saw this upon his death. Epstein spoke to her for about 20 minutes the night before he died. So, storage lockers, Corinna, you can see where we're going with this. It's very interesting to say the least. By the way, I should also let you know, even if there are storage units, maybe it's just personal items. Maybe it's certain things that have no connection to criminal activity or blackmail, but again, weird. Now, how about this email thread with the subject, regarding Jeffrey Epstein extra storage, meet up today, please. And you have messages like this. Hello, as I sent in the other email, I am coordinating a storage locker for you. I will have it by the end of this week. I will keep you posted. Thank you, Andrew. Then this one, morning, Andrew. Just circling back regarding the extra storage. Was today a good day for Redacted to meet with you or tomorrow? TJA or Taja. You have this one. Hi, Andrew and Anthony. It seems someone has changed the code on our storage locker. Both Redacted and Redacted have tried with our codes and cannot seem to make it work. Might it be possible someone on your end changed the codes? By the way, the more and more people you see connected to this, again, I go back to the idea, the more and more people you can question about this. Now, the Telegraph reports that Epstein apparently rented a storage unit near his New York mansion, and they cite this email with his purported accountant Richard Kahn in 2012, where Epstein writes, if things are being moved out on Monday, why do we need to wait until the 18th to do floors? Kahn writes back, we had a lot of excess equipment, furnishings, and supplies at 301. I'm trying to preserve as much usable stuff left behind, such as computers, supplies, etc. I will need some time to get rid of it. If you do not care where that stuff ends up, let me know, and apartments can be ready sooner. How about this one? September 2010. Jeff, would you get your accountant to send me credit card information so I can have it put on file to have the monthly charges at Manhattan Mini Storage billed directly to your card? I would appreciate it. Thanks. This one. Jeffrey, the below link for your consideration. Do we have your approval to move forward with purchasing, and what color? Gray, tan, or blue? Now, according to the Telegraph, Epstein would apparently discuss transporting computers and CDs from Epstein's Island, Little St. James Island, to the storage units. And this is the also concerning part, even alleged communications about wiping these materials clean. So while I was looking for emails corroborating that, this idea of wiping material clean, let me just tell you some of the things I stumbled upon. You got this email from Epstein's personal assistant in 2017, and it says, "Hello, James and Redacted. James, Jeffrey would like you to get Redacted's computer and wipe it clean. Can the two of you coordinate a convenient time to do this?" Okay, there's a lot of reasons. I guess people could want computers wiped clean, but when you're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, who was already convicted of solicitation of prostitution and then was later on accused of operating a sex trafficking of minors operation, see why this is strange, right? How about this one? "Hey Les, J.E. mentioned he wants Scott to wipe clean Ahmad's laptop today. I'm not so sure Ahmad is aware of this or who should inform Ahmad of this. And I'm guessing it will require Scott to go to 301 to do so." How about this communication from Epstein's apparent accountant Richard Kahn to Epstein in 2015? The subject, "Items in PBI garage," so possibly referring to Palm Beach Island. "Janice would like to review with you as he believes some items such as old computers, once wiped, can be discarded." By the way, the Telegraph reports that this is not 100% clear where the computers were stored, but remember I mentioned Uncle Bob's? So the publication claims that this is a self-storage unit in Florida and that Epstein had been leasing it since 2003 and that there are even credit card statements showing Epstein was billed almost $400 a month until March of 2015. The Telegraph also claims that there are financial transactions where it appears that Epstein paid for storage units all across Florida for 10 years with lockups in industrial areas on the outskirts of Palm Beach and Delray Beach. Oh, by the way, that Janice person, so the Telegraph reports that that was apparently Epstein's house manager at the Palm Beach property. Let me highlight this email, okay? This was an email seemingly sent to Epstein's pilot, Larry Visosky, from his accountant, Bella Klein. Quote, "Hi Larry, just received lease from Uncle Bob Storage. Company also offers smaller units with space 510 for $71 per month, 5 by 15 for $115 per month. Please confirm that we need all the items in the storage. If you think the items can be removed, we can get a smaller place. Janice is also using the storage sometimes. Now he will need to move some furniture from the garage to the storage. Not sure who makes the decision to put old furniture from garage to storage to add more cost to it." And Visosky is asked at one point by Klein, "What about all speakers? Box with CDs?" What are these CDs, right? Whenever we talk about Jeffrey Epstein and digital material, question mark comes up. Now, at one point, you even had this communication where you see that Janice is listing out an inventory and says there are 3 computers. So this potentially provides a whole other avenue to explore for possible evidence. It was believed that computers were seized during the search of his Florida property by authorities, but again, didn't find evidence of sexual assault regarding other people. And when the FBI searched his New York mansion, there was a warrant that indicates that authorities seized 2 electronic devices from Jeffrey Epstein's person, so from himself, 33 devices from his Manhattan townhouse, and 27 devices from Epstein's Island. But we didn't see anything, and this is mentioned by the Telegraph, nothing about raids or search warrants or seizures on these outside storage units. In fact, August 2019, there is a communication from an FBI agent in New York, and this is what it read. "We are just about finished with the search. I am attaching the SIT-REP, so a situation report. We seized several computers, storage devices, documents, and a couple of servers. Nothing appears to be a smoking gun type of evidence, but we'll see when we do the computer forensics." And again, we go back to that conclusion from the DOJ and the FBI last year. Remember their memo that was released? No client list, no evidence of blackmailing, not enough evidence to go after uncharged third parties. I'm summarizing here, but you remember this. And then in the files that were just released, and I did a whole sidebar on this, but in the files, you had this internal FBI case summary, a memo, where it said, "The case agents and AUSAs, Assistant United States Attorneys, ensured that all videos and images from the case file and from Epstein's residences and devices were reviewed for evidence of a crime. Those reviews revealed no evidence from any of the searches searches we conducted or any of the files we reviewed that any videos or other images exist of any victims in this case being sexually abused. Nor did those reviews reveal any evidence that anyone other than Epstein and Maxwell participated in the sexual abuse of victims in this case. We are aware of the theories circulated in the media and online that Epstein video recorded the abuse of his victims, including by other men, but we have found no evidence to support that theory. Indeed, had we found such videos, we certainly would have used them as evidence in the criminal cases we investigated and prosecuted and would have pursued any leads they generated. We did not, however, locate any such videos. However, now that we're talking about all this, is that really the end of the story? I'll tell you who doesn't believe that. Gloria Allred, acclaimed attorney, represents Epstein survivors, told The Telegraph the FBI or Homeland Security should immediately seek a search warrant or permission from the attorneys representing Epstein's estate to seize the contents of his storage units if the contents still exist. And she added that the lockers, these units, may have, quote, evidence of his crimes and or business or political relationships with rich, powerful men. Victims deserve the whole truth and do not want what may be important parts of it hidden from them. And look, she's right, okay? First, this may put pressure on the FBI and the DOJ to respond to if they ever searched or knew about outside storage units. And by the way, if they didn't know about it, if it's coming out now, I mean, why would it take The Telegraph to look through this to make the argument that there might be something more there anyway? And also it might put pressure on the FBI and the DOJ to respond to whether they can get a judge to sign off on a warrant to search these units. Is there evidence of criminality? And you also have to wonder if these units still exist or whether or not they house Epstein materials. And if not, where did everything in these apparent storage units go? The easiest would, as Gloria Allred said, to have the attorneys, Epstein's attorneys, allow this, but not sure they're going to allow this. And let me tell you, the unit owners, so the companies that own the storage units, they're not going to hand over anything willingly, okay? They will require some sort of permission or a court order. But it also does become a question, will the DOJ move forward with this? Will the U.S. attorneys? I mean, let's not forget, there are a ton of politics involved here in what happens next and whether or not this investigation is going to move forward. But the more that comes out of the files and the more pressure from Congress and the public, you may see action. And look, what's in these potential storage units may not necessarily be evidence of, let's say, sex crimes, but look what we're covering right now. You're looking at investigations and arrests of Prince Andrew and Peter Mandelson out in the UK regarding allegedly sharing sensitive information. That seems to be the claim. So the more that you can understand about Epstein and his network of connections and what other material he may have had potentially shielded, A, it does raise questions about whether there's other charges or investigations that should be pursued, and B, just going back to the top, was there material that was purposely hidden from investigators regarding a pending investigation? You don't need to be an expert to know that could be potentially criminal charges there too, right? And if those apparent storage units are found and the material is found, this could be an entirely new chapter in the Jeffrey Epstein saga. Let's see what happens. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can